Hey, I'm Ashlyn, and I just kind of wanted to start this as an encouragement for girls because I know that I need it a lot. And so these are just some things that the Lord's really placed on my heart recently, and I'll probably get a little bit more into it, but right now I am in the middle of a 6-week study of knowing who you are and whose you are. So I'm going to share with y'all week 4, and it's just something that's been on my heart a lot recently, especially in the past few days. So first off, kind of just defining what you struggle with. So I know for me, it's insecurities. And when I say insecurities, I have a very specific definition of it. It's not something somebody can cheer you up out of. You know, if you consider an insecurity, oh, I'm not pretty enough, but somebody tells you pretty and all of a sudden you're pretty enough for yourself. I don't define that as an insecurity. I define insecurity as something that no matter how many people tell you you are, you just don't feel it yet. And so for me, insecurities are like not being wanted by guys, not feeling pretty enough, not feeling skinny enough. You know, people can tell me this as many times as they want. You know, as college is approaching, I'm not feeling smart enough at all. So these are just some of my insecurities, and I'm sure many other girls can relate to this. But no matter how many times somebody tells me that, I don't feel it. And so that's what I define as insecurity. And you know, like I said, this is my personal definition of it, and I'm sure many of y'all can relate. Now, when it comes to insecurities, I think that there's some things that feed them. For example, we try to escape who we are with who we want to be. For me, one of my biggest distractions and one of my biggest issues in my life is just my phone in general, but social media especially, because I go on there and, you know, I'm seeking recognition from other people, and I don't want y'all to think that this is anti-social media by any means, because I think it's great. I think it's a great way to connect with people. It's just whenever you start defining who you are with what your profile says about you. Because for girls, like, there's just this constant game of comparison, and it is not fun. So I know for me, I go on social media, I'm scrolling through, I'm like, oh, well, they're really cute, I wish I had a boyfriend, or, oh, she's really pretty, or she's really skinny, I wish my body looks like that. You know, we just go through these phases of, I want to be like that. And my mom's told me, she's like, Ashlyn, that just puts you in a bad mood, and she's seen it, and she can testify that it definitely makes me a lot more upset. So it's this constant game of comparison. And your profile, you can make it out to be whoever you want to be, which is really scary, but kind of fun at the same time. You know, we all know that online we always look better than we do in person for most of the time. It's not a bad thing. I don't see anything wrong with it. But, you know, we can make ourselves out to be who we want to be. We can only show people the good things that are going on in our life and not tell them about all the struggles that we're actually going through in our faith. So because of these things that feed our insecurities, like comparison and social media and just being on our phone and what other people think of us and how many likes we get, you know, nobody can tell us something and that's going to change it if this is an insecurity of ours. And so I think as girls, we have to start encouraging ourselves. Always encourage a fellow girl, because it's always nice to hear, but that doesn't mean it's going to change anything. So as girls, we need to be encouraging ourselves as well. When you wake up in the morning, don't be like, oh my gosh, look at all these things that's wrong with my face, like I just need to cover this up and this up. Look at yourself and be like, Lord, thank you for another day. Thank you for creating me the way you did. Maybe pray that this week your face clears up a bit, you know, but don't demean your value. One of my favorite things that I usually tell people is look at that sunset outside, because it's beautiful, right? And so we'll go look at the sunset and we'll be like, oh my goodness, like God painted that, how cool is that? You know, I can't just say, oh, I painted a sunset in the sky today. Might have painted it on like a piece of paper, but that's a little different. But God paints it in the sky every single day. And so something that I think is so cool about that is we look up at that with just admiration, and God looks at us like with infinitely more beauty. He's like, that's my daughter. I created her. She is beautifully and wonderfully made. You know, that's what God thinks whenever he looks down at you. And, you know, we're here criticizing his creation, and that's not what he wants. So I think first and foremost, you have to know what you struggle with in order to overcome it. If you're not willing to admit that you have an insecurity with whether a guy likes you or not, if you just think you're too good to admit that, you know, that's a problem as well. And so I think you have to admit those insecurities. Maybe find a close friend and they can encourage you through that. But they're not going to be able to take you to the end. That's something that you and God have to do together. I think the next step is you have to address the problem. in my case, it's social media. So I had to tell myself, this is what's making me miserable. This is what's just feeding this insecurity. So think about what's feeding your insecurity. After addressing the problem, find a solution. For me, because I have such a strong insecurity with guys and it's gotten really, really bad recently, I deleted my social media. And this is probably just for a temporary period of time, and for you it might be you just need to delete your social media for 3 days of the week. It can help a lot with motivation, with homework as well, but just overall that way you're not feeding that insecurity daily. You already have school for that or work. Now that you've found a solution, I encourage you to make a plan. So like I said, for me it was just deleting it completely. For you, it might just take a little bit more time off of it. And this is all up to you, and this is only if it's like feeding your insecurity. But girls, I want you to know who you are, and you are beautiful, and you are loved, you are adored, you are a daughter of the King. You are so, so, so special. No guy should be defining you. No amount of likes should be defining you. Social media is great and well until it starts to tell you who you are, because you are who God created you to be, and you are His. And so I really hope that this helped you in some sort of way. Just kind of an encouraging message, and I hope to share more. But yeah, thank you for listening.